Hello everyone and welcome back once again to the Model Railway series, where today I'm going to be talking about issues that I've had building this and mistakes and things that I could improve on in the future. So as we're looking at Friday Bridge, one of the first things I would change is how I've wired up our points here, because I have track feeds here, move these out of the way, and following the instructions there is a tiny wire that comes off the frog here and goes down, and when this is switched, this has 3 contacts in, and this slides a tiny little bar which controls the polarity of our frog. So these are really good, really awesome. The only issue is when doing all the ballasting and everything and spraying my scenic glue to hold it on, I managed to get a microscopic layer of glue, couldn't even see it, down in the tracks, and unfortunately the blades are still powered by contact with the outer rail, and that caused me no end of issues. I resoldered some of these joints so they're really obvious now. There's extra solder, and you've got to be really careful heating up because you can easily melt the sleepers or ties at the same time, which is what I was having issues with. So what I would do next time is I would follow the instructions that come with the Pico points on how to wire up, but I'd also add a tiny little wire just connecting the blades to the outer track, so electrical conductivity is always present, because all it takes is a tiny little thing to stop the electricity passing through. Realistically, it's only pressure on a very small amount of metal that's conducting the electric through. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. So that was my first issue, and whilst talking of ballasting, brings me on to my next issue. So if I lift this up and bring this in, you can see we've got nice neat ballast all around there, and then it transfers into what should have been a dirt and ash yard, and I used real dirt and ash for this, and I did a test. I didn't go into it completely blind. I got a small length of track and did a test and so on, see how it turned out, as you can see here. And I'd always recommend doing that for any scenery. If you're not sure, never done it before, test it out. And on my test, I was reasonably happy with it. However, when it comes to the actual layout, it's very brittle and very easy to break off. And in fact, there's a few areas in here where I've had to touch up because it just crumbles away. So I wanted to replicate what was really on the Wisbech and Upwell tramway as far as ballasting, and the reality is I need to either go the DAS clay route like so many other people do to replicate sort of dirt and cinder ballast, or just forget it because this idea didn't work. And going on to ideas that didn't work, well, let's move over here to the extension plank. Now, first of all, I love scale model sceneries boards for the most part, they work very well. But for some reason, these little boards are not designed to meet up with the height of the main baseboards. And yes, I do have this blue foam on here, but I have, if you look, the rail is on one layer here, and I had to put it on 2 layers here. However, I thought I'll just grab a random piece of code 100 track, it'll be fine, because with 2 pieces of foam it lined up. When I went to use some filler, it ate away at the foam, and I don't know if you can see that, but certainly in this middle section it actually dips down quite a bit, and so much so that I have had to permanently connect it with solder and build up a kind of little ramp so the train jumps its way onto the board. My mistake. I do have 2 more lengths of the blue foam cut out. I purchased this a very long time ago, years ago in fact, a couple of large sheets of it, and I've got through most of it now, but it lasts a long time, and I just prefer using it to caulk. It's easy to cut, doesn't crumble, but it is susceptible to certain things. So any glues, adhesives you use, just test them out. If you are using a foam base, make sure they're compatible. So I've got to replace that. This is a very old piece of code 100. I don't mind sacrificing that. All I have to do is break the join along here. That will all lift out, and I can replace that. So that's where we're at. That's my faults and issues so far with the layout. But overall, this works very well. The whole use 2 pins and banana plugs, they just plug in and out. Now in hindsight, I did this so I could swap controllers, although I now have both a Bachmann Easy Command DCC controller and a Bachmann DC controller, because quite frankly the very old Hornby sort of rotating knob, they hurt your fingers after a while and they're very stiff, and I wasn't convinced they would give me great running. So now I can just sort of plug my 3.5mm jack into the relevant controller and control it, but that still works brilliantly. And as far as power goes, I'm not sure whether I'm going to wire up a couple of feeds to the extension board and then put banana plugs on the end so I can just plug them into this, and that will give us our electrical connection. Because if I get these, you can probably see, if it will focus, they are hollow inside, which means you can just plug another banana plug in, or there's holes on the top here, if I can get it in the light, where a second plug simply will, it's a bit stiff, but that will push in there and give you a secondary connection. So that's probably how I'm going to wire up the extension plank, instead of having it permanently soldered to the board as it is now. So that is our update for the Model Railway series. Almost, because I have been treating myself. If I move these out the way and bring this down. That's right, guys. I have purchased myself a J15. Now, technically, these would never have gone onto the Wisbech and Upwell tramway. They don't have side skirts and catches for a start, but they would have run into Wisbech East, and they're just lovely little locos. And this one is going to get a repaint and a new identity, because J15 locos one holds the world record for the fastest ever loco built from bare pieces on the factory floor to a complete running locomotive. I think it was 9 hours 25 minutes. So that's completely knocked down kit. How locos would be built, you wouldn't go and cut a piece, attach it, cut another piece. You'd have everything there ready to go. But yeah, 9 hours 25 minutes. So I'm going to make this my little celebrity loco and recreate that exact one. So that does mean it will be getting a Great Eastern Railway blue livery, which I like better than the black anyway. And the tender will have GER on the side, and a little number plate plaque will replace the current BR number on the side. With that, I think that brings us up to date with the Model Railway series. Next time out, I'm going to do some actual scenery. So that's static grass. I will have the shunting board at the end. That will be sorted. Probably add a dab of paint around the edge of the archway where the railway exits the board, so it's not quite so noticeable, but I do have a scenic item that's going to go in there to hide that as well. I'm going to track down my brick paper so our little Wisbech and Upwell shed can take pride of place. Just grab that. So give you a reminder of the one I'm talking about. So that will get its brick top, get some actual better looking roofing slate on there, and then we've got our depot building as well. So stay tuned for all that. Thanks for checking in with me, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.